It took at least 10 years before I told my mom what happened. What is something you did when you were younger that you are still facing the consequences of? I was taken from my mom at age 10 and put into foster care. After a while, social services found my dad, who left right after I was born and who I had never met. Eventually I was asked who I wanted to live with, my dad or my mom. I said my dad, because I had always wanted one, and being torn from my mom basically severed our bond through trauma. It turns out he and my stepmom were abusers, and I was abused for 6 years before I ran away. Still haunts me to think who I would have been had I chosen my mom. Now I am estranged from them all. This isn't your fault. Your dad and his wife are terrible people. Your choice to choose one over the other would have always left you with the same mindset. A what-if mentality. Best way, in my opinion, to have approached it, even today, is to look at it more of events that needed to take place for today to look like what it is. Loud concerts, no earplugs. It's a go-to for us to bring those cheap squishy earplugs for concerts now, especially hip-hop/electronic concerts with fat subs. It straight up weirdly works like an EQ where the music actually sounds better and more audible. Instruments get way more clear, and for some odd reason it is easier to hear what people around you are saying. People may look twice, but it saves your ears on top of all that. I keep saying this to everyone and no one believes me. It cuts out some of the shitty bass sounds out of live music and makes it clearer. I had some prick one time take my plugs out and throw them away in a pit. I just looked at him, pulled 2 more out, put them in and winked at him. Always bring backup cheapies. Flew off a water slide while goofing off. Landed on concrete. Left hip still hurts to sleep on, 20-ish years later. It took at least 10 years before I told my mom what happened. When I was about 11 or 12 I had a cold, and as a child I'd had otitis a few times. It was winter and I was outside without anything covering my head and ears. My mum told me to put something on, otherwise I would get otitis again. I didn't. That night I woke up with unbelievable pain in my left ear. I was awake all night, crying from the pain. Tried to sneak out of bed to find painkillers, but whatever it was that I found, it did not help. Eventually the pain went away, but so did parts of my hearing. Never told my mum about it. Still have hearing loss on my left ear. Avoiding socializing/not fixing social anxiety. Been huge source of strife in career and personal life. My local library hosts crafting classes where they teach you how to crochet, knit, sew, etc. It was ideal for me because everyone had something to focus on, so no awkward eye contact, and the chit-chat was easy. It was a great place to work on my social anxiety and meeting new people. I had crippling social anxiety as a kid. When I was 12 I decided enough was enough and I was going to figure it out one way or another. So I trial and errored my way through social skills. I tried lying, joking, rambling, telling stories, anything, just forcing myself to do it and fighting through the awkwardness and anxiety. I forced myself to sit at a different lunch tables 2 days a week. It paid off for me hugely. You just gotta go for it. Make yourself uncomfortable and force yourself to meet people. Join a rec sports league. Attend gaming stores and play D&D with strangers, volunteer teaching and tutoring opportunities. I taught English and citizenship classes at my immigrant community center for a year and absolutely loved it. And just go to bars and try to hit on women. For me and others, I know this was the absolute hardest. You just have to go for it and prepare for it to be hard and live with the rejection, but you have to try if you want to completely get through. I sprained my ankle on a treadmill when I was 13 and I was too stubborn to let it heal properly. So now, nearly 15 years later, I can't walk until like 10 in the morning a couple times a month because my ankle is still a wee bit effed. I broke my ankle and stretched the tendons badly skateboarding when I was 16. My dad told me to deal with it and didn't take me to any hospital or doctor to check it out. I kept it wrapped and followed protocol I found on the internet. As an adult, I now have terrible pains in my ankle whenever I'm walking too much or working too hard. Got it looked at around 27 and I have a piece of my ankle bone missing. Probably could have used that medical attention, Dad. Same here. Wicked ankle injury, and no doctor. We had insurance and everything, but I guess I wasn't allowed to use it. I'm sorry for what happened to you. I feel your pain. Literally. I listen to music way too fucking loudly. I'm 37 and I absolutely need hearing aids. I'm not deaf, but if there is even slight background noise, everything sounds incredibly muffled. Sometimes I have to ask people to repeat themselves 3 to 4 times. Edit. I never got tinnitus. There were no blaring signs of hearing loss that I noticed. It was extremely gradual. Turn your shit down, bitches. Wear earplugs. I have the same problem, sort of. I think mine is just my brain focusing on the wrong sounds occasionally. I have always struggled in loud environments. Everything kinda blends together. Sometimes I can't even understand what someone says right next to me. When I was still in school, people thought I just didn't listen and found me annoying. Now as an adult, I think it's some form of sound sensitivity. Edit. Wow, okay, this comment really blew up. It's so nice to see we are not alone with these kinda struggles. Never admitting an injury. Oof. Reminds me of the slight thumb dislocation I experienced while biking. Lucky the adrenaline made me just straight up put it back in place, though I sometimes need to stretch/pull on it. Besides that, works perfectly fine. Oh, this one hurts. I have broken my wrist by a machine in the workplace. It hurt like hell, but I ate no pussy, so I toughed it out and didn't tell anybody. I found out 2 days later, after an X-ray. It was a broken wrist and both bones of the forearm. It was like hair fracture, but still fracture. I had a long investigation and inquiry about what happened, which would be done in few minutes if I just came clean that night. Not standing up for myself enough. Catching up and learning it as an adult is embarrassing at times. I was a shy, awkward girl that willingly accepted whatever happened. Unfortunately, my parents didn't help, as they would always bagger my sister for speaking up, which caused me to hide even further into my shell. You never realize how much can be taken away from you or taken advantage of you until you hit your ultimate limit. It's a price that can last for years. You never realize how much can be taken away from you or taken advantage of you until you hit your ultimate limit. It's a price that can last for years. Didn't even realize this. But so damn true. Oh well. At least the way I am seeing this, that's an important milestone. Chose a low pay / high stress career. Former chef here. Don't be a chef. Just for confirmation. Also former chef here. Don't be a chef. Used to work as a pot wash in my teens. The restaurant had 2.5 chefs. 0.5 was an apprentice and couldn't be left alone in the kitchen. When the head chef was on holiday, the other chef had to do 3 shifts a day for 21 days straight. Definitely not legal and no overtime rates paid. He quit to be a postman, gets paid £5,000 more and is done and home by 3 p.m. Said he's never been happier. I had a tree house that was about 10 feet off the ground and I would regularly jump out of it. Being an idiot, I wouldn't brace myself when I landed because I thought I looked cooler doing it that way. Just straight up land on my feet without so much as bending my knees. Well, guess who's got shit knees before they've hit 30? Edit. Obligatory, of course. My highest comment is me being a dumbass 8-year-old and thanks for the award, stranger. PSA for anyone who doesn't know how to land safely from heights. Bend your knees when you hit the ground so you go into a crouched golem position. Slap the floor with both hands. Takes some of the force away. If you have forward momentum you need to deal with, tuck your head and roll diagonally over one shoulder, throw one hand under the opposite armpit to get the right angle. Sauce. Former parkour nerd. Please teach and demonstrate nutrition and exercise to your kids. It is so freaking hard to defeat a lifetime of bad habits when you're in your adulthood and already feeling the effects of ill health from years of bad eating habits. And no, I don't just mean force them to eat their veggies and thus just create a totally negative relationship with healthy food. You have to find ways to make their importance clear and introduce new ways of eating healthy. Don't just feed a kid whatever they want whenever they want. I see that so much and the end result is not good. To add to this, don't make your kid eat more than they want to. As long as they are eating nutritious stuff, don't force them to finish their plate. I grew up somewhat poor, so if we ever went out to eat, I'd get in so much trouble if I didn't eat everything I ordered. We paid for all this food, now we have to eat it, or next time you have to split a meal with your brother. Stuff like that. So I've grown up with some weird positive feedback loop of overeating. I get a good dopamine bump from eating myself to too full, and then continuing. It's hard to maintain a healthy weight. A constant battle. It really wasn't until I was an adult when I started taking a doggy bag home from restaurants. My wife opened my eyes to that. Yeah, we paid for it, and we're gonna eat it, but later. We don't need to cram it down right now. Overspending. Got a credit card as soon as I turned 18. It had a limit of £5,000 and I was not financially responsible. Cut a long story short, more credit cards, horrible cycle of debt, had to dig myself out of it. I got out of debt at 32, lived paycheck to paycheck for a while. I'm 37 now and this year is first year of my life I have savings. If anyone out there has crippling debt, don't feel hopeless, there's always a way out, even if it takes years. You can do it. This is where I am at the moment, it's good to hear there's hope. I've actually ended up getting my dad to lock my credit card in his safe so I can't access it. I just talked to my youngest, 18, about this yesterday. He wants to get a CC. I told him don't do it, you're the king of buying dumb shit. He's like no way, he's responsible. I remember the $250 bong you bought 2 months ago. Spent way too much time alone as a kid playing video games instead of socializing with friends. My social skills were stunted for many years, which made things much harder than they needed to be. Felt kinda like a cycle for me. No one wanted to hang out with me, so I'd spend all my time watching movies instead, which made my social skills worse, which made people not want to hang out with me. Not video games. But read way too long and still do. Have zero social life and am 23 atmospheres. Don't know how I will manage in life. But try as I may, people don't stay for long in my life and when they leave, it hurts like hell. The pandemic, initially, felt like a welcome change where I could stop trying for a while. Married the wrong one. Me too. Then buried myself in work and making excuses instead of leaving. Finally left after 16 years. Everyone deserves to be respected. If your soul doesn't treat you with respect, it will never change. I'm surprised at how far down this is. I got married at 22, separated at 23, and I'm still not divorced at 29 because married someone who would always be a child. Thanks for watching. Please hit like below. See you in the next video.